Georgia, so I took a couple of days off while I was in New York at the Innovation Festival with Fast Company. But so today, the point of the show is to bring you today's thought leaders, best-selling authors, CEOs, corporate leaders, people who are doing amazing work in the world, who we want to learn from. They can make us better. That's the whole point of the show. Today is no exception. Got an amazing guest who I think we're going to really learn a lot from. She's doing some amazing work. Now, the fun part about the show, there are a couple things. It's simulcast on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, for some reason, I don't know why, and LinkedIn, of course. And the other part is that it's interactive. So in order for that to happen, you have to ask your questions so that we can get to those questions and you can learn what you want to learn. But today, I wanted to talk about our guest, Kelly Noonan Gores. She's the founder of Elevative Entertainment. She has starred in and was the executive producer on the award-winning films Beneath and Take a Seat. I think you've got 31 films to your credit or something like that. It's an amazing resume there. And she considers her latest project, Heal, one of her greatest passions in life's work. And Kelly, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure, really. So much to ask you. I don't even really know where to begin, but you've had this amazing journey. You started in acting, obviously, and then now you're sort of behind the screen producing and writing, and you started your own production company. Talk about that a little bit. What led you to sort of this side of making films and making documentaries now? And so what led to the change?
Yeah, I think in the last 10 years, more and more people are starting to create their own content with, the rise of social media and all of these platforms. It's so much easier. And of course, digital cameras. It's so easy for people to make their own content. So along those lines, I wanted to start creating rather than, or I guess, taking control of my career a little bit more and making stuff happen rather than waiting around for the phone to ring. Because it never rings enough in that industry.
Right.
And so, yeah, and then, my passions I started paying attention that all of the research I was doing for this documentary, I wasn't, I was doing it kind of loosely just to improve my own life. It wasn't, I didn't start out, learning about from all these great teachers I put in the film and the book, to make the film. I did it to improve my life and they really empowered me. And so ultimately, because film is the medium that I am familiar with, I decided to put them all in a film to teach and empower others.
Well, anybody that makes a parody of Taken has got to be a really cool person.
Oh yeah, that was fun. I love comedy. It's uplifting, and some of the most fascinating healing stories have to do with people that literally just watch funny content, and laughter is medicine, and there's a lot of science behind that. So I figure, Taken a spoof. It's not the most elevated content, but it certainly will make people laugh.
Well, hey, it certainly did. But that was I had to get that in because that was I was waiting for somebody to make us a parody of that deserved it. How much? We'll talk about Heal a little bit. What led you to that project? What led you to the moment where you sort of envisioned this, and how did that all kind of come together?
Yeah, I started it's such a it's over a lifetime of these little events that kind of led me to where I am today and to making the film. I never dealt with a major health crisis or lost someone dear to me to a devastating diagnosis. That would be like what people would assume would cause me to make this film. But it was more, just learning over time about how big of a role our minds and our belief systems and our perception of life play, in not only our lives, but our health. And so just one thing led to another. And as I was learning, reading all these self-help books and going to Agape in LA and just getting so inspired by some of these spiritual teachers and some of these scientists. Like Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief, was a game changer for me. It's kind of a scientific book talking about epigenetics and how, our lifestyle choices and our beliefs really turn on and off genes. We're not victims of our genes. We can really influence the expression of our genes. So once I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, we have so much more power over our health and our lives than we've kind of been conditioned to believe. So one thing led to another, but all of the teachers I put in the film really changed my life through their teachings and their work. And I looked around and I saw so many people getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And I wanted to kind of just wake them up, to the power that we all have to heal.
I mean, one of the things that was really interesting to me was you talked about a story when you were a kid and about your lymph nodes or something, and how you, for months, and it was almost like a year or more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody could figure out what was going on, and a chiropractor, right, just out of the blue, it's interesting that it's not always about, I think sometimes our solution in society, particularly with traditional medicine, is, give a pill, do surgery, and I think that lesson to me says, okay, maybe there's some wisdom in maybe some of these old wives' tales, some of these old remedies, and some of these. Did that have an impact on you and sort of your thinking, even at a young age?
Totally. I think that was the initial thing that planted the seed. Just long story short, I got sick, but my lymph nodes never went down after I got, what I thought was the flu. And I went to doctor after doctor, and they put me on antibiotics. And finally, after a year of just, walking around high school with these big golf ball sized lymph nodes coming out of my neck, and nobody knew what was causing it, they put me under the knife and they cut it open to do a biopsy, and went under general anesthesia, and they still, it all came back benign, and nobody really knew. So the chiropractor gave me apple cider vinegar told me to take a shot of that every day. And after 8 days, my lymph nodes cleared up after a year of, nobody, the best specialist not knowing what to do. So I think that planted the seed that, there's really simple remedies that have been in effect for thousands of years, whether it be acupuncture or herbs or something, like nature and food and all of these natural things that can really heal us or help our bodies do the healing. And I just, I want to stress, one of the things that fired me up to make this film as well is I'd be watching these pharmaceutical commercials, and again, it's not this heal is not anti-Western medicine. Western medicine has an amazing place for acute and emergency situations, but these more chronic illness, solutions that these pharmaceutical companies are airing on television, all the time. It's like, oh, your skin will clear up. It's pretty music playing. Everybody's happy, but it's may cause lymphoma and even death. And I'm like, it's mind blowing to me that someone would pop a pill and choose to ignore that this could make you actually sicker than you already are. And, the moral of the story is there's so many, if you have a chronic illness, if it's at an acute stage, meaning, you can't deal with life, maybe you need a pill or a surgery or something to stop the proverbial bleeding and get over the hump. But with chronic illness, you have to dig deeper. You got to get to the root cause. You can't just throw a pill on it. And it's going to take a lot of lifestyle changes and, maybe some emotional healing as well.
No, I had a moment that sort of was amazing to me. About 10 years ago, I was in the jungle in Panama, spending some time with this Indian village, Kumarka. And I got to know this older man. He was probably in his 80s. And we went on these walks with him, and he was a medicine man. And, they had a plant or something for everything. So if you had a toothache, he would find the plant, for the toothache. He would find, if you had a headache or, some other ailment, there was a plant or a medicinal medicine, a traditional medicine that would help. And I found that just fascinating. That this is something that probably was passed down to him from another person in the tribe, in the tribe, and it's been passed down probably for hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of years, right? So I understand what you're saying. I think a lot of times it's lifestyle, right? For those things like diabetes, maybe heart disease or high blood pressure. Those are all things I think you can probably fix with changes in lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Totally. But anyway, how much do you think our thoughts and our beliefs, you kind of sort of hit on that a second ago, affect our physical health, and what can we do to get in a better space? Because I think we, sometimes I think probably a large percentage of our interactions with people are negative. I mean, I think Lipton talked about that a little bit, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And he also talks about how, our subconscious belief systems that we kind of download or adopt when we are between the ages of 0 and 7 years old. We're just soaking up kind of the behaviors and the belief systems of our caretakers. Mm-hmm. And, 70% of those belief systems are negative and disempowering. And so it's, all of the experts in the film agree that stress is what takes us to the doctor 95% of the time. And there's 3 types of stresses. There's physical stress, emotional stress, and chemical stress. And so, our belief, how you perceive life, the lens through which you look through, this core beliefs that you have is going to determine how stressed you are. If you believe that you have to make X amount of money and you're not doing it, you feel negative, you feel lack, you feel stressed. All of this stress is accumulating. If you're watching the news all the time, a lot of it's negative,
Right.
And then you couple that with chemical stress, which if you're not aware of all the toxins in processed food, toxins in your cleaning products, your makeup products, all of that, our bodies are really resilient, but over time and the accumulation of all of this chemical stress as well as emotional stress, your body is going to break down and it's not going to be able to heal the way it's supposed to. So all that to say, we really need to look at the lens through which we're looking at life, which is our belief systems, and we need to make changes, and also we need to reduce the chemical stress we're putting on our body by using clean products, eating clean food. So can you do that affordably? I mean, I know we're lucky, but let's say, I mean, that's easy to do in a lot of places that we live, and we're fortunate. But how do you lead that clean lifestyle? Where do you begin to understand a good diet or a good, the other things that are negative influences in your life? How do you even sort of start the process of leading a better, healthier life, and so that you can get to this better place, I think? Totally. Yeah, we need tools. We're not given a user manual on how to be human,
Right.
So you want to educate yourself. There's so much information out there. I remember when I was a kid, we didn't have Google. We had Encyclopedia Britannica, So there's so much information available at our fingertips. And, there's a lot of resources. The experts that I put in the film all taught me, and they've all written multiple books. So you can start there. If you go to healdocumentary.com, there's a resources page, and you can start to look at some of the tools and books and education that I received in order to make the film. You can start there. As far as affordability, yes, in California, we have lots of access to organic foods, and it's a lot more affordable because it's, accessible.
Right there.
But there's farmers markets in every city in America. And what Michael Beckwith talks about in the film, it's you pay now or you pay later, So it may seem like too expensive, but ultimately over time, you're going to spend more money on drugs and hospital bills and all the stuff if your health is deteriorating. So, you know, you've got to get creative, and there are affordable ways. There's, you know, community is so good. Healers often, you know, practitioners often give people offer a pay scale, like what they can afford. You know, people that are in that space, they want to just help people. So the help is out there if you search for it, you know?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that, I think your resource page is a good one, because it's, you know, my concern is trusted sources, right? Getting the right information that you need, not because if you don't know where to go, it can be kind of overwhelming when you start looking at all this. But I think your page starts to narrow it down for people, and I think that's great. Yeah.
It's a good launching pad, you know, and then you're going to find that the universe is going to give you that next piece of information that you need, you know.
And I imagine that there are communities, you know, if you want to exercise, there are probably walking groups and running groups and all kinds of things that you can do that are inexpensive, and probably would be happy to have you join.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, like if you surround yourself with those healthy-minded people, you're going to be guided down the right path. You know, there's yoga studios in every city now in America, you know, all over the world, really. And that community, you know, people are going to be a little bit more conscious about what they're eating. They're going to be more knowledgeable about different things, you know, different healing modalities. And so, you know, it doesn't have to be yoga. Like you said, it could be walking group or even at the gym. You know, if it's healthy, people that are trying to be healthy will have, you know, a ton of resources. So you are who you're surrounded by, you know.
Indeed. Which leads me to the next question. You met some incredible people when you were doing this film. Are there any stories that they told you, or people that you met along that journey there doing the film, that really touched you and that you really thought were just incredible sort of illustrations of what you were trying to do in the film?
Yeah, you know, I just think that, you know, Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's in the film, I mean, his story is remarkable. He healed his spine through visualization, and he kind of called it the quantum model of healing. So rather than the new kind of Newtonian physics of cause and effect, he calls it the quantum model, where it's causing an effect by, you know, getting your heart and brain in coherence and visualizing the result that you want, and combining it with an elevated emotion. Again, you can get the book and learn more about it, but you know, all the stories of healing are so fascinating and inspiring to me. Rob Worgan is the energy healer in the film. He just posted something on his Instagram where, you know, this young boy had been battling cancer much of his life, you know, his precious 5 years on this planet. And he worked with Rob for, I think, like 3 months, and now he's cancer free. And there's just so much possibility. And if you're open to it and, you know, you believe that it's possible, you can tap into that, you know, that possibility.
So that's really, where you talk about sort of the belief in the mind-body connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you all of that is in sync. Is there a way to get there? I mean, we talked about a bunch of different things today about healthy and eating and lifestyle and people. How do you get to that point where you have that sort of, where you're synced up like that? I don't know how to put it in words, I guess.
Yeah, it's so hard too, you know, because fear overtakes us, you know, and
right.
if we get a diagnosis of cancer, you know, in our society, we have equated cancer to death, and it's terrifying, right?
Oh,
but
yeah.
If you step back, and, you know, cancer doesn't develop overnight. Cancer develops over many, many years. And it thrives in a certain environment. And what we need to do is change the environment so that cancer cannot thrive. And if you just understand cancer more, if you just understand how your lifestyle choices, how diet, how your mind and negative emotions and unprocessed emotional trauma, and, you know, unhealed emotional trauma, all of that affects the body and the environment that is the body. If you understand that on a deep level, then you can step back, take a breath, and go, okay, this is a wake-up call, and now I'm going to make different choices. So, you know, again, it's just understanding and trusting, and the more, you know, the intention behind HEAL was to not only kind of arm people with tools and knowledge, an understanding of how the body works, how we're literally designed to heal, and how our minds and our bodies are intricately and intimately connected, but also to put in inspiring stories to strengthen that belief. And that's what's important. I mean, if you look around, there's people have healed from every type and stage of cancer. You know, Kelly Turner's research, she wrote a book called Radical Remission. I encourage everybody to read it. And she talked about, you know, 1,500 cases that she studied, you know, legit scientific research on what they did to heal. These were all people that were sent home to basically get their affairs in order because the doctors told them there was nothing else they could do, all late stage cancer. And they all healed spontaneously by doing these 9 things that she discovered. And, you know, that to me just shows that so much is possible, but we have to focus our minds on that possibility, and we have to believe that it's possible. And then, you know, again, the right information and the right people to help you get there will show up.
Yeah, I mean, but it's talking, I mean, I think too, it's getting there before you even get a diagnosis or you get sick, right? Yeah. That will, I think, help prevent it. And I'm curious, you know, you talk that some of the book was talking about, you know, your genetics don't have to dictate your life, your lifestyle, your health. I think that's true. How do you deal with, everybody deals with trauma. We've all got things that we deal with, you know, internally and externally. How do you deal with trauma? I mean, so let's say you really want to change your life and your belief system. I mean, do you start with counseling? Do you start spiritually? Do you start with, I mean, are those all good things really as a starting point along with the healthy stuff? And how do you get people out of your life that you know? I mean, have you had to do that as well? Like sort of distance yourself from people that aren't a positive influence on you?
Absolutely.
That's a lot of questions. Sorry.
I'll try to answer them. You know, negative energy, everything is energy, right? We are all vibrating at different speeds. That's what matter is. It's just different vibrating speeds of energy. And you know, by the frequency you put out there, it's where am I going with this? Yes, get negative toxic people out. Again, they will affect your field, and your body is the environment that all of these conditions can pop up in. And it's, let me backtrack here. How do we, there's so many tools out there, and like you said, HEAL is preventative as it is curative. You know, meditation, I would recommend. You know, we have to not only reduce our stress, but meditation, you know, again, something that's been around for thousands of years, it disconnects us from all this overstimulation, and a lot of it, like we said, is negative. We turn within, and it's a spiritual practice, but it's also a practical practice. It not only, you know, it's kind of like mental hygiene. You know, Marianne Williamson talks about how we shower off our physical bodies every day, you know, the gunk of the day, but not all of us shower off our mental gunk, you know, and we're taking on so much stress, and meditation is a way to kind of let all that tension go, And then of course, scientifically, what they've shown with meditation is that it releases healing chemistry into your body. It releases all these hormones and neurochemicals that actually start healing your body, induce the healing and rest and repair. And so meditation is huge, not only for stress reduction, but for healing, and just reading that emotional, it heals all that emotional accumulation and tension and stress that we build up in our minds every day. Breath work, I think, is another one that is starting to pick up so much speed. You know, a lot of people are doing breathwork workshops now, and you know, our breath is our tool. Breath is life. You know, it doesn't, you don't need to buy any equipment. You just have your own body that you can use, which I love. You know, same with meditation. But breath can, you know, the breath work that they do, the circular breath, it kind of blasts out. It gets the energy moving and blasts out all this stagnant energy, which is unprocessed emotion, and we hold trauma in different areas of our body, and breath work can kind of remove that and get the chi, the life force energy moving again. So there's just so many amazing things we can do for relatively low cost. We just need to learn how to do them, or find communities that you know, will connect you with practitioners and classes and stuff that you can join and help you through that. And there's also you know, there's another tool. I'm just giving tools now. There's something called purge emotional writing, which you can go to a therapist, but again, that's going to cost money. But if you want to get your emotions out, you don't want to bottle them up, because as we all know, we tend to explode if we bottle things. The pressure builds too much. So a way to get your emotions out is, and my integrative doctor, Dr. Habib Sadeghi, here in Los Angeles, he wrote a book called The Clarity Cleanse, also a good one. And he healed himself from cancer as well. It's purge emotional writing. You set a timer on your phone for 12 minutes. You write down how you're feeling, you know, no censorship. You can curse, you can do whatever it is you want.
I love it.
Nobody's ever going to read it. Be totally, completely honest, and it's purging your emotions. And it's really therapeutic. And then afterwards, you fold it up, stick it in the fireplace or somewhere safe to burn, and you burn it. And it's a ritual, you know. And again, all these ancient traditions for thousands of years have been doing rituals in their healing. You know, everything is ritual based, and so it's kind of, heal is bringing ancient wisdom with kind of modern practicality. So
I love that, because
they're affordable. You know, anyone can do that.
Well, I love it too, because it's not, you don't have, and unfortunately, there's still a stigma around getting help, right? There's a stigma around going to a therapist or and with that, you don't have to. You can do it in your own room, the privacy of your own room, and that's a wonderful outlet, because you're right, we can't bottle things up, and everybody needs that release, and to feel like that's brilliant. I love those. Any more tools? Because you're on a roll there. So.
Yeah. I mean, just, you know, the basic foundation. It's like you really, your diet. You gotta and again, I don't subscribe to one particular diet. You have to learn what's right for you, and you've got to. Your body is constantly in communication and conversation with you. These symptoms that show up, whether it's a runny nose after you eat gluten or a little acid reflux, all of these are your body trying to have a conversation with you, going, ooh, that's not what you need right now, or that's not good for you. That's not in alignment with what you need. So rather than silencing that symptom with a pill or, you know, whatever it is that you are doing to silence the symptoms, you have to listen to your body and let it kind of guide you in what it wants, because it's constantly in communion with you and trying to help you make better choices. So, you know, diet, exercise, movement, you got to get the lymph system going. You got to get your sweat going. You got to eliminate, you know, all this stuff helps clean out your system from toxins. And then sleep, you know, sleep is very important, because that's when your body does its cleaning and repairing and regenerating. And a lot of us are not sleeping as well as we should. Again, there's so much information out there, and a lot of it is conflicting, but, you know, your body, tune into what resonates with you. It's all about awareness, self-awareness. And you're going to have to try different things, but, you know, those pillars of health is diet, movement, sleep, and then, you know, clean water. Obviously, we're grateful to have clean water in our lives.
Depends on where you live, but
yeah, not everybody in the world, you know, has access to clean water. These things that we take for granted, you know.
Right. even in our own country.
Mhm.
What where is this all going for you? I mean, are you've got the film, you've got the book, but where is the project headed in terms of because I don't think this is not just a book and then you're going to move on to the next thing. It seems like this is something that you're really passionate about and about continuing. So, are there some follow-ons to this or other
Yeah,
activity that you're doing that?
sure. We are developing. A lot of people are like, when is Heal 2 coming out? But for me, just intuitively, I feel like where it goes from here would be more conducive to like a docu-series kind of on Netflix or something, because there's so much to explore and there's so many inspiring stories to share. And again, it's about educating people, making them more aware, but then also strengthening their belief in possibility. And by sharing a lot of inspiring healing stories. If it's possible for them, it can be possible for me as well, is what I want people to take away. So we're kind of developing the television series now, so we'll see where that goes.
Excellent.
And then, part of me wanted to create continuing support after the film, because a lot of people like yourself is like, okay, now what? I've learned this, but where do I start? And so I wanted to develop some sort of something online where people can connect with other people going through the same diagnosis, and so community but I just didn't have the bandwidth. I didn't have the time to develop that. And luckily I aligned with a group of very intelligent people that have started a platform, an online marketplace and community to find a trusted place where you can find practitioners in your area, and a big search algorithm where you can, really just put in your symptoms or put in what you're dealing with, and then people that can help you will pop up. And then there's
I love that. That.
It's much more. We have background checks and verification processes, and so it's going to be much. Because right now you really only have like Google and Yelp, and there's just no way to really trust that those practitioners are not snake oil salesmen or whatever. So it's called WellSet, and I'm an investor in that company because I think it's going to change the game, and it's going to also provide a lot of data that will hopefully change health insurance, and get these insurance companies to see the demand for these types of healing modalities and practitioners, and then cover more and more. Hopefully, we're hoping to change health insurance, through this demand. So
we can cross our fingers.
Yeah, it's making improvements slowly but surely. Acupuncture, chiropractic, all of these things.
Oh yeah, and that's starting to in integrative medicine. I mean, that's all starting to be recognized as. Yeah.
We're improving.
When is that launching?
So that launches, I think, in LA and New York. But maybe all over the country, actually, January. They're in beta testing right now, but at the beginning of the year, we will have WellSet to go to. Okay.
Well, it sounds like you have not been doing anything. Then you've been bored. So you're working on the sort of the series. Is there sort of an idea when that might come out, or you have a thought on when that might?
I don't know. We're in kind of talks right now with different places that I can end up. So we'll see. Sometimes it goes fast. Sometimes it takes a year or so.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, they can see it on Netflix, right? They can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Heal is on Netflix, and then you can get the book as well, which is basically the documentary in book form, which a lot of people like because it's a resource that they can
drop props. Excellent.
Yeah. So the book is available anywhere books are sold, and it's a great gift for anyone going through a healing journey. But
Okay. So Amazon, any other places books are sold, Netflix for the documentary, and we'll just have to watch out for your social media and everything else for when these other projects are going to come online, and so that's exciting.
Yeah,
And
at Heal Documentary on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and a lot of inspiring content there. So start to follow us there, and hopefully more soon.
so the last question I have is one I ask everybody that's on the program. What's the best advice you ever got, and who did you get it from?
Oh, my goodness. So much good advice.
Or the one that sticks out just real quick. You don't have to overthink
Yeah.
it.
I mean, honestly, I think, I don't know who originally said this piece of advice, but do unto others as you would have them do unto you is probably the best advice that I've ever received. It's like what you put out there is what you experience in life. You know, if you dig a hole for someone else to fall in, you're eventually going to fall in it yourself. That's one of my husband's quotes. But, you know, it's really, you know, it's really what you put out there. If you are judging, and a lot of us, we're judging ourselves so much, you know, and so if we can start to kind of really love ourselves, then we can love other people, and vice versa. And so I think it is, it's really just the golden rule, you know.
You know, I think you just answered one of the questions that I asked earlier, and that maybe we got to somewhat, but love yourself. That's where you start, isn't it?
It is.
That's actually the starting place.
And a lot of us, you know, because of these negative and disempowering beliefs that we have, you know, a lot of us have dealt with, I am not enough, I am not worthy. And these are the beliefs that we really need to look at and get to the bottom of, and that's why, for me, ultimately healing is spiritual, because we have to find a spiritual community or spiritual belief system that really teaches us that, you know, we're here, we're spiritually having a human experience, and to really trust that life is for us and never against us.
Right.
And having that belief, you know, then we can realize that we're our spiritual, our higher selves, our soul, like it's perfect. It's already whole. There's nothing to heal, you know, and to really love that aspect of ourselves, and we are enough, you know.
Indeed. Well, Kelly, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for everyone for spending your lunch hour or your early morning hours with us, depending on where you are in the world. This week, we're going to be at a Tune conference in Atlanta. I've got Elizabeth Gilbert who's going to be on the program from Eat, Pray, Love. I've got Gabby Bernstein on the program this weekend. So listen up or watch out for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Next week after that, we're going to be in Luxembourg at the GVS conference. We've got Billy Zane, who's going to be on the program. Maybe we've got Snoop Dogg. I hadn't confirmed that yet, but he's going to be on. I'm going to be on the stage with him. So hopefully we can corral him into spending a few minutes with us. But check out our schedule here on Power Lunch Live. You can do that at powerlunch.live, the website. And if you're looking for a business coach, look us up at Power Coaching and Consulting. We'd love to be in touch and chat to see how we can help you. But until tomorrow, we'll see you then. Have a great day. And Kelly, again, thank you.